What if I told you the most dangerous kind of wealth is the one you don't know you're holding? Right now, somewhere in America, a small brown penny is sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, maybe even lost between couch cushions, while auction houses are fighting silently behind closed doors to acquire coins just like it. This is not history class. This is not speculation. This is not fiction. Today on Old Penny Worth, we uncovered 3 wheat pennies so rare, so powerful, so silently valuable that collectors call them ghost coins because most people spend them before realizing what they truly are. These coins don't scream for attention, they whisper, and when they surface, lives change. Stay with me because the first coin alone has shocked today's auction market. And if you've ever touched a wheat penny, this video could completely rewrite what you think wealth looks like. Watch carefully. Listen closely because once you see this, you will never look at a penny the same way again. Coin 1. What if I told you that a simple copper penny from 1950 could be hiding a secret that most people overlook every single day? At first glance, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark looks like nothing more than an ordinary 1-cent coin. Millions of Americans spent them, dropped them into cash registers, tossed them into jars, and forgot about them in drawers. Yet some examples have surprised collectors with values reaching hundreds, thousands, and in extraordinary circumstances, even more. The question is not whether every 1950 penny is valuable. The real question is whether yours contains the tiny details that separate a common coin from a collector's treasure. Imagine opening an old cigar box inherited from a grandparent. Inside are dozens of worn wheat pennies gathered over decades. Most people would see nothing more than old pocket change, but experienced collectors know that hidden among those copper coins could be a remarkable survivor from another era. A coin that witnessed the beginning of the 1950s, a period when America was entering a new chapter of prosperity. Television was becoming a household phenomenon, and the nation was preparing for dramatic changes that would shape the modern world. The story of the 1950 wheat penny begins in Philadelphia, where more than 272 million examples were produced. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat ears on the reverse. By 1950, the Lincoln Wheat Cent had already become one of the most recognized coins in American history. Struck from an alloy containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, these coins carried a warm reddish appearance when new, a color that collectors still chase today. Here's where things get interesting. Because so many 1950 pennies entered circulation immediately, truly pristine examples became surprisingly difficult to find. Most were spent, traded, and handled countless times. They picked up scratches, wear, discoloration, and damage. As the decades passed, fewer and fewer survived in original mint state condition. That scarcity of exceptional preservation is what fuels collector demand today. A typical circulated 1950 wheat penny might be worth only a small premium over face value, but as condition improves, values begin to climb. Coins showing minimal wear and attractive surfaces often command stronger prices from collectors assembling high-quality wheat cent sets. Most people miss this tiny detail. The difference between a heavily worn example and a sharply preserved coin can mean the difference between a few cents and a much more significant collectible value. But that's not even the rarest version. Some collectors spend years searching for examples with exceptional original red color. Copper coins naturally darken over time. When a 1950 wheat penny retains nearly all of its original mint red appearance after more than 7 decades, collectors take notice. These pieces are often designated as red by professional grading services and can sell for dramatically more than comparable brown examples. And what collectors discovered next shocked everyone. Era coins from 1950 occasionally emerge from old collections and estate holdings. Off-center strikes, where the design is shifted away from the center of the planchet, can attract substantial premiums depending on the severity of the misalignment. Broad strikes, struck outside the retaining collar, create an unusual appearance that instantly captures attention. These minting mistakes transform ordinary coins into one-of-a-kind collectibles. The next discovery changed everything for some lucky collectors. Die cracks and die chips, formed as minting equipment wore down during production, can create unusual raised features on a coin. While not every die crack is valuable, dramatic examples often generate strong interest among specialists who study minting varieties. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but hidden inside this coin is a secret that many collectors never expect. Lamination errors, caused by impurities or flaws in the metal strip before striking, can create peeling or lifting areas on the coin's surface. When authenticated, these errors serve as fascinating evidence of the minting process itself and can command premiums far above the value of normal examples. That's when the story takes an unbelievable turn. Occasionally, collectors discover clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is literally missing because of a mistake during blank production. These unusual pieces are immediately recognizable and remain among the most popular mint errors in the hobby. What happened next stunned the coin collecting world. High-grade certified examples of the 1950 Philadelphia wheat penny have achieved impressive auction results because of their rarity in top condition. While ordinary circulated examples remain affordable, coins certified at the highest mint state levels become intensely competitive whenever they appear for sale. Registry set collectors often battle for the finest known examples, driving prices far beyond what most people would imagine for a 1-cent coin. This is where values start to explode, not because every 1950 wheat penny is rare, but because truly exceptional examples become increasingly scarce. The combination of blazing original red color, razor-sharp strike quality, pristine surfaces, and elite certification can place a coin into an entirely different category of value. Across America, stories continue to emerge of collectors finding wheat pennies in inherited albums, forgotten coin jars, estate sales, flea markets, and even bankrupt rolls. Most discoveries turn out to be ordinary examples, but every experienced numismatist knows that remarkable coins still surface when least expected. That possibility is what keeps the treasure hunt alive. So before you dismiss that old 1950 wheat penny as nothing more than spare change, take a closer look. Examine the color, study the surfaces, search for unusual errors, check for exceptional preservation, because while most examples are common, a select few possess characteristics that transform them into prized collectibles. And that is the enduring magic of coin collecting. Hidden within an object worth only 1 cent lies a connection to history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. Somewhere tonight, in an old box tucked away in an attic, a forgotten collection, or a jar sitting on a shelf, another wheat penny is waiting to be rediscovered. The next great find could belong to anyone willing to look closely enough. Next up. What if the next coin you pull from an old collection, a dusty coin jar, or a forgotten family album isn't just another penny, but a hidden piece of American history worth far more than anyone around you realizes? At first glance, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny looks ordinary. It's small. It's copper. Millions of people spent it without a second thought. But hidden within certain examples of this humble 1-cent coin are secrets that have fascinated collectors for generations. Some have sold for hundreds of dollars. Others have crossed into the thousands. And for the finest known examples, competition among elite collectors has pushed values to astonishing levels. The question is simple. Could one of these treasures be hiding in your collection right now? To understand why collectors continue searching for the 1951 wheat penny, we need to travel back to a very different America. The year was 1951. The nation was in the early years of the Cold War. The Korean War was underway. Factories across America were producing goods at an incredible pace. Families gathered around black and white televisions. New suburbs were expanding across the country. Automobiles filled highways, and economic growth was transforming everyday life. Through all of it, one small coin passed through millions of hands every day, the Lincoln Wheat Cent. The 1951 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, represented by the small D mint mark beneath the date. It was composed of 95% copper, with the remainder consisting primarily of tin and zinc. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse displayed the famous wheat ears that gave the series its nickname. By 1951, this design had already become an American icon. Few people could have imagined that decades later collectors would carefully examine these coins under magnification, searching for tiny details worth substantial premiums. With a mintage exceeding 600 million pieces, the 1951D was never intended to be rare. Millions entered circulation immediately. They bought newspapers, candy bars, soft drinks, and everyday necessities. Most became worn through decades of commerce. That's why many surviving examples today show heavy circulation. A typical worn 1951D wheat penny is collectible because of its age, but its value usually remains modest. Yet that is exactly where the mystery begins, because not all 1951D pennies followed the same journey. Here's where things get interesting. While most examples circulated heavily, a small number escaped the wear and tear of everyday life. Some were placed into coin albums. Others were saved by collectors who understood the importance of preserving fresh examples from circulation. These coins retain their original mint luster, sharp details, and beautiful copper color. As decades passed and more examples disappeared into circulation damage, the finest survivors became increasingly desirable. Most people miss this tiny detail. Copper coins are evaluated not only by their condition, but also by their color. Collectors divide them into brown, and red designations. A 1951D penny that still displays its original blazing red mint color after more than 70 years is a remarkable survivor. Such coins attract intense interest from collectors seeking the best possible examples. The difference between a dull brown coin and a vibrant red coin can mean a dramatic difference in value. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but hidden inside this coin is a secret that separates average examples from elite collectibles. Professional grading services carefully examine strike quality, surface preservation, luster, eye appeal, and originality. Even tiny imperfections can affect the final grade. A coin graded mint state 63 might be desirable. A coin graded mint state 66 becomes significantly scarcer. By the time collectors reach the highest grades, population numbers become surprisingly small, creating fierce competition whenever one appears on the market. And what collectors discovered next shocked everyone. Although the 1951D penny is considered a common date, finding one with exceptional strike quality can be surprisingly difficult. Many Denver mint cents from this era show weaker details in certain areas of the design. Collectors searching for premium examples often look closely at Lincoln's hair details and the wheat ears on the reverse. Strongly struck examples stand out immediately and command greater attention in the marketplace. The next discovery changed everything for era collectors. While millions of normal coins were produced, minting mistakes occasionally slipped through quality control. One of the most sought-after categories involves off-center strikes. These occur when the planchet is not properly aligned during striking. The result can be dramatic. Portions of the design may be missing, creating a coin unlike any normal example. Depending on the percentage off-center and whether the date remains visible, values can increase substantially. But that's not even the rarest version. Broad strike errors present another fascinating chapter in the story of the 1951D penny. These occur when a coin is struck outside its retaining collar, causing it to spread beyond normal dimensions. Collectors love broad strikes because the error is instantly visible. Unlike subtle varieties requiring magnification, a broad strike announces itself immediately. What happened next stunned the coin collecting world. Certain die cracks developed as mint equipment experienced wear during production. When metal flowed into these cracks during striking, raised lines appeared on finished coins. Most die cracks are minor curiosities, yet dramatic examples can become highly collectible, especially when they create unusual visual effects. Collectors specializing in mint errors often search rolls and collections, hopping to discover previously undocumented examples. Another fascinating possibility involves die chips. These occur when tiny fragments break away from the die surface. The resulting raised metal on the finished coin sometimes creates unusual shapes and patterns. Some collectors spend years studying these varieties, documenting die states and tracing the progression of mint equipment deterioration. That's when the story takes an unbelievable turn. Lamination errors occasionally appear on 1951 D pennies. These occur when impurities or defects exist within the metal before striking. Portions of the surface may peel, flake, or separate, creating a distinctive appearance. To inexperienced eyes, such coins may appear damaged, but knowledgeable collectors recognize them as legitimate mint errors with their own market demand. And the surprises continue. Clipped planchet errors occur when the blank coin is improperly cut from the metal strip before striking. A portion of the finished coin appears missing, often in a smooth, curved shape. These errors are immediately recognizable and remain popular among collectors because they tell a visible story about the minting process itself. Most people never think about the possibility of strike-through errors, yet they represent another category that can dramatically increase collector interest. These occur when foreign material comes between the die and the planchet during striking. The resulting impression leaves unusual patterns or missing details on the finished coin. Every strike-through is unique, making them especially fascinating to specialists. As collectors explored the series further, attention turned toward repunched mint marks. During this era, mint marks were punched into dies by hand. Occasionally, the mint mark was impressed more than once, creating overlapping images. While not every 1951 D penny displays such characteristics, genuine repunched mint mark varieties can attract substantial collector interest when properly attributed. The treasure hunt becomes even more exciting when we consider the role of preservation. Across America, old collections remain hidden in attics, basements, and safety deposit boxes. Some were assembled by collectors generations ago. Others were saved accidentally by individuals who simply disliked spending older coins. Every year, remarkable discoveries emerge from these forgotten holdings. Imagine a family cleaning out a relative's home after decades of storage. Inside an old desk drawer sits a small envelope labeled simply pennies. Most people would barely glance at it, yet inside could be a group of untouched 1951 D wheat pennies preserved since the Eisenhower era. Such discoveries continue to happen because coin collecting spans generations. Bankroll hunters understand this excitement better than anyone. Searching through rolls of cents may seem repetitive, but dedicated collectors know that surprises still appear. Wheat pennies emerge from circulation every year. Most are common and worn, yet every coin offers the possibility of something special. A high-grade example, an overlooked error, a scarce variety. The thrill lies in never knowing what the next roll might contain. Here's where values start to explode. Not because ordinary 1951 D pennies suddenly become rare, but because the finest certified examples occupy a completely different market. Registry set collectors compete fiercely for top population coins. These are examples graded among the finest known by professional grading services. Population reports often reveal dramatic decreases as grades increase, making elite specimens extraordinarily desirable. Auction records demonstrate this phenomenon clearly. While circulated examples may trade for modest amounts, premium red mint state coins can bring significantly higher prices. The finest certified examples have sold for thousands of dollars when competition between advanced collectors becomes intense. The value comes not from rarity of the date itself, but from rarity of exceptional preservation. And what collectors discovered next shocked everyone. Some of the most valuable coins are not necessarily the oldest or the rarest dates. Sometimes they are simply the finest surviving representatives of a common issue. This principle surprises newcomers to the hobby. A common date penny in extraordinary condition can outperform a scarcer date in average condition. As the years pass, the number of untouched high-grade examples continues to shrink. Copper is vulnerable to environmental damage. Improper storage can cause discoloration, spotting, and corrosion. Every surviving gem-quality coin becomes increasingly important to collectors seeking the best available examples. The emotional appeal of the 1951 D wheat penny extends beyond value. Holding one is like holding a tiny piece of American history. This coin existed during a transformative period of the 20th century. It circulated during the rise of television, the growth of suburbs, and the early years of America's post-war expansion. Every mark and every detail connects us to people who lived through that era. Perhaps the most inspiring aspect of coin collecting is the knowledge that discoveries continue to happen. Valuable coins are still found in inherited collections. Estate sales still produce forgotten treasures. Coin jars still contain surprises. Bank rolls still reveal wheat pennies. The hunt never truly ends because millions of coins remain hidden from view. So if you own a 1951 wheat penny, take a closer look. Examine the color, study the surfaces, search for unusual errors, look for strong strikes and original luster. Consider whether the coin might be an exceptional survivor rather than an ordinary example. Most will prove to be common collectibles, but a few possess characteristics that place them in a completely different category. And that is the enduring mystery of the Lincoln Wheat cent. What appears to be a simple penny can become a doorway into history, craftsmanship, discovery, and possibility. Somewhere tonight, in an old album tucked away on a shelf, in a forgotten coin jar sitting in a garage, or in a box inherited from a long-forgotten collector, another 1951 wheat penny is waiting to be examined. Most will tell an ordinary story, but one might tell an extraordinary one. And the only way to know is to start looking. Next up. What if one of the most overlooked coins in America is sitting in an old coffee can, tucked away in an attic, hidden inside a forgotten collection, or resting quietly at the bottom of a coin jar right now? Most people would never think twice about a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny. After all, it's only a 1-cent coin. It was made by the hundreds of millions. It passed through countless hands. It bought candy, newspapers, and cups of coffee. Yet hidden among ordinary examples are a select few that have stunned collectors, sparked bidding wars, and transformed a simple penny into a remarkable treasure. The secret isn't the date alone. The secret is knowing exactly what to look for. Travel back to America in 1955. The nation was booming. New highways stretched across the country. Families gathered around television sets each evening. Rock and roll was beginning to change popular culture. The economy was expanding, suburbs were growing, and millions of Americans carried Lincoln Wheat Pennies in their pockets every day without realizing they were holding tiny pieces of history. Among those coins was the 1955 Wheat Penny, struck at the Denver Mint from an alloy consisting primarily of copper, giving it the rich reddish appearance that collectors still admire today. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials can still be found on the design. On the reverse stood the iconic wheat ears that defined the wheat cent series from 1909 through 1958. The design had become a symbol of American coinage. It was familiar, trusted, and instantly recognizable. Yet decades later, collectors would begin examining these same coins under magnification, searching for details so small that most people never noticed them. At first glance, the 1955 Wheat Penny appears ordinary. More than 500 million examples were struck at Denver, meaning it is not a rare date in the traditional sense. Millions entered circulation immediately. Most became worn from years of use. They traveled through grocery stores, banks, restaurants, and vending machines. The vast majority survived only as heavily circulated coins worth modest premiums today. But hidden inside this coin is a secret. While the date itself is common, finding one preserved in extraordinary condition is a completely different story. Most examples suffered decades of wear. Others developed environmental damage, corrosion, stains, or discoloration. Every year, fewer pristine examples remain. That simple reality has created a fascinating market where condition can mean everything. Here's where things get interesting. Copper coins are graded not only by their sharpness and preservation, but also by their color. Collectors classify them as brown, red-brown, or red. A coin that retains its original mint-red appearance after more than 70 years is an increasingly rare survivor. These bright red examples often command significant premiums compared to ordinary brown pieces. Most people miss this tiny detail, yet it can make a dramatic difference in value. Imagine two identical 1955 wheat pennies struck on the same day. One spent decades circulating through commerce and eventually turned dark brown. The other was carefully saved in a collection and preserved with its original brilliant red surfaces intact. To the average person, they may seem similar. To advanced collectors, they occupy completely different categories. The next discovery changed everything for many collectors. As grading standards became more sophisticated, attention shifted toward the finest known examples. Coins graded mint state 65, mint state 66, and higher became increasingly desirable. Registry set competition intensified as collectors sought the absolute finest examples available. Suddenly, a coin once considered common became surprisingly valuable when preserved at elite levels. And what collectors discovered next shocked everyone. Some of the finest certified 1955 wheat pennies have sold for impressive prices because of their exceptional preservation. The value did not come from rarity of the date itself. It came from rarity of condition. Finding a coin that survived for decades without acquiring distracting marks, spots, or wear became extraordinarily difficult. That's when the story takes an unbelievable turn. While ordinary 1955 cents are common, genuine mint errors occasionally emerge from old collections. Off-center strikes remain among the most dramatic. These occur when the coin blank is not properly centered during striking. Depending on how far off-center the strike occurred and whether the date remains visible, collectors may pay substantial premiums for such errors. Broad strike errors tell another fascinating chapter in the story. These coins were struck outside the retaining collar, causing the metal to spread beyond normal dimensions. The result is immediately recognizable and highly collectible. Unlike subtle varieties that require magnification, broad strikes announce themselves instantly. What happened next stunned the coin collecting world. Collectors searching through inherited collections began discovering unusual die cracks and die chips. These imperfections formed when minting dies deteriorated during production. Metal flowed into the damaged areas, creating raised lines or unusual features on the finished coins. Some examples became popular among specialists who enjoy tracing the life cycle of individual dies. Lamination errors offer another layer of mystery. These occur when defects within the metal itself cause portions of the coin's surface to peel or separate. To an inexperienced observer, such a coin might appear damaged. To a knowledgeable collector, it represents an authentic minting error and a fascinating piece of production history. Then there are clipped planchet errors. Imagine a coin emerging from the mint with a curved portion missing from its edge because the blank was improperly cut before striking. These dramatic mistakes continue to attract strong collector interest. Each one tells a story about the manufacturing process that created America's coinage. Strike-through errors provide another avenue for discovery. During production, foreign material occasionally became trapped between the die and the coin blank. The resulting impressions created unusual missing details or patterns that make each example unique. These errors remain popular because no two are exactly alike. Many collectors spend years searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to uncover one of these treasures. Most searches produce ordinary coins, but every once in a while, something unexpected appears. A sharply struck red gem, an overlooked error, a previously unattributed variety. Those moments keep collectors searching. Estate sales have produced remarkable discoveries over the years. Families cleaning out old homes often uncover collections assembled decades ago. Some were carefully organized and catalogued. Others were forgotten entirely. Hidden among these holdings, wheat pennies continue to emerge from envelopes, jars, cigar boxes, and coin albums. Imagine opening an old album untouched since the 1960s. Inside are rows of Lincoln Wheat cents preserved exactly as they were decades earlier. Among them sits a blazing red 1955 penny, virtually untouched by time. To the person who stored it away, it may have been little more than a curiosity. To today's collectors, it could represent a highly desirable survivor. This is where values start to explode. Not because every 1955 wheat penny is rare, but because elite examples become increasingly difficult to locate. Population reports from professional grading services reveal how few coins survive at the highest levels of preservation. When one appears at auction, competition can become intense. The fascinating reality of coin collecting is that value often emerges from unexpected places. A common date can become extraordinary if preserved perfectly. A seemingly ordinary coin can become desirable because of a dramatic mint error. A forgotten collection can suddenly reveal a hidden gem after decades of obscurity. And perhaps that is why the Lincoln Wheat cent remains one of America's most beloved collectibles. It combines history, mystery, artistry, and the thrill of discovery into a single small coin. Every example tells a story. Some stories are ordinary, others are remarkable. So the next time you come across a 1955 wheat penny, don't dismiss it as just another cent. Look closely, examine the color, study the strike, search for unusual features. Consider the possibility that the coin in your hand has survived generations of history while preserving characteristics collectors dream of finding. Because somewhere tonight, hidden in an attic, buried in a coin jar, tucked away in a forgotten collection, or resting quietly inside an old album, another 1955 wheat penny is waiting to be rediscovered. Most will be common. A few will be special. And one might be the treasure that changes an ordinary coin hunt into an unforgettable discovery.